Welcome to Point to Rise, your podcast that gives you permission to dream big, take messy action, and turn your talent into profit while turning your back on perfection. My name is Susanne, high performance and mindset coach, former international ballerina, profitable entrepreneur, and founder of Point to Rise, a movement designed to empower dancers. It is my mission to use my own story as an inspiration for today's generation of dancers. And now sit back, stretch, warm up, or sip your coffee and love learning how much it matters to point at yourself first to rise to all that you are capable of. Okay, let's see if this works. Well, welcome and hello to another episode to the Point to Rise podcast. My name is Susanne and I am your host today. Oh, today's guest is somebody I met not too long ago, but Jess Hendricks and I have really connected on a deeper level really early on. And I asked her to be here because she has so much wisdom to share around relationships. And even if that is the relationship with yourself, she helped me through releasing some trauma of myself. And I want to share her bio with you. So Jess is a professional trained conscious relationship coach and occupational therapist with a focus on mental health. Her specialty is guiding her clients to release unhealthy patterns like dating the same person in a different body, recreating the same toxic dynamics, triggers, and reactions, and attraction to unavailable people so that they can finally experience fulfillment and connection in their relationship. Jess works with anyone who is struggling in all types of relationships, including your relationship with yourself. Jess's life has been her case study, and she has really been through it all. And when it comes to relationships, by working on herself, she was able to change the course of her life, and now she guides her clients to do the same. Jess ultimately guides her clients to uncover beliefs in the subconscious mind that are creating discord in your relationships. Working with Jess will give you the gift of awareness of your patterns so that you can reclaim your power and finally shift your relationship dynamics by going within and shifting the way you show up. This is how we alchemize and heal our relationships from the inside out. I cannot wait to share this conversation with you because I know Jess has so much to offer. It will perhaps trigger you or give you a few ideas where you can start uncovering what actually really truly is holding back. So without no further ado, here's our conversation. Hello, Beth. So the lady that announces that, I had to give her a name because there's just no other way that I can lead into conversations that, when you record a podcast, you're like, okay, what's my intro? How am I going to say this? Like, hello, Jess, welcome to the show. I am so happy that you're here. But that's not really me anymore. So we're just jumping right in here. Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. As I said in my intro, have a very special and dear friend of mine on the show today. I thought that bringing in different people with different superpowers is actually helpful to everybody, even in the performing arts, that didn't sound really nice, for anybody that is listening to this podcast to learn more about themselves and what's actually out there. So, Jessica, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. I love it.
So you and I said we don't go far way back. However, for me, it feels that way. We have just been, before we hit record, and thank goodness that wasn't recorded, have been bantering about, women's health. And I can't do that with many people. So meeting you was such a gift. And I don't think I've ever really said that. So I'm going to use this platform to really call you out and saying thank you for being in my life.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so sweet. And I feel the same. The second that we got on, I think we had a connection call or something in this mastermind that we were in. And the second I got on the call with you, I just felt like I've known you forever and we can just talk about anything. And you were just in LA and we got to spend some time together. And it was great. And I'm so grateful. And it's just such a gift. And I'm just keeps on giving. And you're going to be moving here. So that's even more
Yes.
exciting.
Yes, thank you for that. And if I may say so with that, you and I, we wanted to get out of LA and spend some time away out of the big city and just, chill and let ourselves calm down a little bit. And that wasn't the best environment. And the way we got through that, like there was no blaming, no pointing fingers, like nothing. It has not changed anything about our relationship, that I often feel I don't have that luxury with many people, that I can just say, hey, do what you need to do. I'm good. Don't worry about me. I need you to take care of you. That's the most important thing. I can't do that right now for you. So I need you to step up and do it to yourself. So that was really empowering for me. And also, I don't know. It's just easy. It's just easy. You're just
Thank
so
you.
wonderful to be with. That's all.
I feel the same way. And yeah, it's like we had these plans. We're going to get out of LA. We're going to relax for a few days. And it just went completely in a different direction that we had pictured. And it really speaks to the work that you've done on yourself and your level of relating to people and consciousness for you to be able to handle it with so much grace as well. So I appreciate you so much, because it wasn't the easiest thing. Like what we were faced with was not the easiest thing. And I think we both did the very best we could. And it just shows, how life can throw you a curveball. And it's like, how do you handle the curveball that's thrown at you, and just kind of moment by moment deciding, okay, how can I take care of myself? And then in taking care of myself, I can take care of everyone around me. And I think we did a pretty good job of navigating a pretty uncomfortable situation.
It was really uncomfortable. However, I think the superpower in both of us was, okay, how can we reframe? How can we establish a different reality here versus just being upset about it and saying, I can't do this.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I would have not been able to do maybe even a year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really hear you on that. And even this time I was finding my inner people pleaser coming up and thinking, okay, what do I need to do? How can I take care of Susanne in this situation? And like, I brought her here and it's not what we thought. And I felt like I had a level of responsibility and all kinds of things. And I'm just so grateful to you for your ability to create that space where I could take care of myself, and then also letting me know that you were okay and that you were able to take care of yourself. And I did feel a little icky for like a day or so, but after that I realized, okay, we're okay. Like we got through it. It was a bump in the road, but it didn't change anything. And I'm so grateful, because like you said, I mean, there's not many people. And I think back to, years past where if I was in that situation, I don't think it would have worked out too well for the friendship in the long run. So
But isn't that relationship in so many different ways, and even with ourselves? So when I was reading your beautiful bio and just remembering your journey to get to where you are today and what your coaching looks like, I think that all of these things that we're putting into our mind, or the beliefs that we inherited, they're just holding us back from living easy and simple. Like there was nothing complicated about the situation. We could have made it really complicated and really served our ego really, really well.
Yes.
Right? Like we could have made a big drama out of this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, if you want to know what we went through,
I'll tell you.
DM us. we'll sketch that on IG Live and hold
Yes,
on, spill the beans.
let's do that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's definitely do that because, like, in a nutshell, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings that's involved in the story. And that's why I think we're being a little bit vague, but we'll do an Instagram live and we'll share with you all the nitty gritty.
Good. Okay, let's pivot a little bit because I want to talk about you and your work and what you have, well, a little bit about your journey. And I remember you always could relate so much to performing artists and their mindset and where they're coming from and what that journey to healing really looks like. And when I say healing, I cannot empathize it enough how important that journey is in order to, even if your life on stage wasn't fulfilling or the best or not what you expected, it's not too late to get there now.
Yes.
And you have to do the work. Okay.
And you have to do the work. Yeah.
Shining the light. I'm moving the bleachers. Okay. If you just want to start with yeah.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Jess and I'm a conscious relationship coach. And what that means is I guide people to improve their relationships. So as Susanne said, even your relationship with yourself, which is the most important relationship because it sets the tone for every other relationship in your life, right? So if you're not okay within yourself, it's going to be challenging to relate to other people and have healthy, fulfilling connections or navigate things that are challenging, like Susanne and I did, patting us on the back for that. So yeah, and I really relate. I think that is how we first connected, actually, Susanne, when we talked about perfectionism. And I am a recovering perfectionist, and I still say recovering. And I know you may or may not be too. I won't speak to you.
Totally.
And I think there's something about the world of dance, because I remember when I was a little girl in ballet, I just had this idea in my head that I had to be perfect and that nothing I did was ever good enough. And as we, grow and learn about the world, so between the ages of 0 and 7, we decide our beliefs about the world, our core beliefs, based on our environment, based on our home life, based on how our caregivers, parents interact with us. And we develop certain beliefs about the world. And one of the beliefs that I had was that I have to be perfect to be lovable. And for people who are in the performing arts, I mean, I'm sure you'll relate to this story, but when I was a little girl, I was at a ballet recital and my dad was in the audience and I was trying so hard, like just in my head, I have to be perfect, have to be perfect. And I would do the little dance and then I would run off the stage and cry to my dad. And then he would say, go back. And I would go back and join the group and do the dance again, and then run back and cry again. And now looking back, I can see why that happened. My dad was kind of like, what on earth is happening? But looking back, I'm like, I just felt so much pressure to be perfect. And like, I couldn't be enough no matter what I tried. And that belief has followed me because it's been in my subconscious since I was a little girl. And so it shows up in every area. It showed up in relationships. It showed up in, my work life with finances, all kinds of things. So I'm really passionate about helping people to identify any beliefs and patterns and programs that maybe served you for a time, or we thought it served us because we developed it to survive in our environment. And now it's not serving us anymore. So now I guide people to, like you said, shine a light, uncover those unconscious beliefs that are not supporting us in what we want to create, right? Because at the end of the day, like looking at that belief that I had, and it still comes up once in a while, but perfect doesn't exist, right? It doesn't. It's like a relative truth. It's an arbitrary concept. Like what's perfect to me won't be perfect to you, won't be perfect to people listening. So what even is it? So we're striving for this imaginary ideal and keeping ourselves in chains. And to me, like perfection is just being the truth of who you are. So showing up as your authentic, true self and just trusting that as you honor yourself, as you love yourself, all parts of yourself, the light, the dark, and everything in between, that will guide you to your purpose, your passion, what you're here to do in the world. So that was kind of a long tangent, but this is what I help my clients with. And I work with people one-on-one, and I also work with couples, because what happens is our relationships mirror back to us those beliefs. So for many years, I would date men who would reflect back to me that I wasn't enough. Like, I'm not perfect, I'm not enough. And it was really, really painful until I did this work and I realized with a coach, oh my gosh, I have all these beliefs, and that's what's creating this dynamic. And then I could shift it.
What you don't know, right?
Exactly.
You just don't know what you don't know. And we can just keep following the same pattern, which just brought up in me, like, I don't know how many, 4 times I recreated what I or my subconscious has learned when I was a child.
Yes.
4 times before.
Woo.
Oh,
Gives me shivers, because that is what happens. And most of us will just live at the effect of our story, in quotes, for the rest of our life. And so you actually have the power to consciously choose what you're creating. But in order to do that, we need to uncover beliefs, patterns, programs that are keeping you in that same story, because it will keep repeating. And so it doesn't matter whether you come to me to work on your relationship with yourself, with your partner, with your family, the theme is going to be the same throughout, because it's created by your own mind.
Hey, let me ask you that questions, because I perhaps back 20 years ago wouldn't have known what the subconscious and the superconscious mind are. Can you just break it down very simple for us, what that actually means and how it works in our being?
Yeah. To be completely honest, I'm not exactly sure the superconscious. I can't speak to that, but the subconscious, the unconscious, it's basically beliefs that we've thought so many times that we believe them to be an ultimate truth. So they're actually just created from our experiences. So if we have, a certain experience as a child and we decide in our mind, oh, that's because I'm not enough. And then we have that belief imprinted in our subconscious, and we go through life looking through that filter. So we'll find evidence to support that belief. So there could be 100 people in front of us, and 98% of them will reflect back that we're more than enough, and 2% will reflect that we're not enough. We will gravitate toward that 2% because of the filter that we're looking through. So it's tough because it's unconscious, which means we're not aware of it. So what we want to do is we want to bring the unconscious or the subconscious beliefs conscious, and look at them and see, okay, what are we doing? What are we dealing with here? Some of them really help us, like how to drive a car, how to ride a bike, how to brush your teeth. Like all of those are programmed into the subconscious, and it's amazing, and it helps us and make sure we can focus on what we need to focus on. But there are certain beliefs that we would like to shift and clear out. And those are the ones that I can help you with, so that you can really experience freedom, because it's about freeing yourself from these ideas and these limitations, because really, truly, the only limitation is our own mind and our own thinking.
Okay, so when I learned that, I was gobsmacked, because why did I not learn about that as a high performer, as a human being? This is basic psychology. I wouldn't even, it's psychology. This is us as human beings, how we work. And it is so helpful on the path to self-discovery, or to just learn more about ourselves, right? Why is that not being taught? Like, why are we not talking about this over and over and over again?
Well, that's a really, really good question, because in my opinion, what we learn in school, this should be taught as like a basic thing from the time we're little kids. And I believe it's shifting, and I really pray that it's shifting, because, if we knew from the time we were little that you can create, you can be, do, and have whatever you desire, you truly can. And this is how, right? Then we won't have to, as adults, go back and uncover these things that are holding us back. But I also think it's kind of part of the human experience, because no matter how beautiful our childhood, no matter how wonderful, our parents were, there's always going to be some level of imprinting that is limiting. So I think it's a bit of a vehicle for our evolution too, when we can realize, okay, this is a contrast, like this is what I don't want. So what do I want on the other side of the coin, right? How can I use the contrast? So for example, I really want to move out of LA because I've lived here for 16 years. And for me, I don't want to be in a busy city. I don't want to be around so many people. So what's the opposite of that? I want to live in a peaceful, quiet beach town, right? So you can use your life. If you're in one of those times where it's feeling dark and you're feeling uncertain or lost, look at, okay, what's contributing to that? Because our emotions are messengers. What's not working? And then what would work for me? And it helps us to gain clarity. So I think it's a bit of an evolutionary process for us as humans, but I think, we should be taught this in school. It would be super helpful. And another benefit of doing this work with people is, you can create a ripple effect. So as you start to practice this and do your own healing, you can have a ripple effect on every relationship in your life, with your family, with your friends, with your children. You can model it for them and they can see, oh my gosh, they can learn by demonstration, by witnessing you, which is such a gift. Oh my goodness, especially for children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how we change legacy, right? That's how we stop passing on our old stories and beliefs and actually change that next generation so that maybe there won't be so much pain and hurting and conflicts in the world.
Yes, I just got full body shivers when you said that, because that really is it, because we carry 7 generations of energy and patterns from our family. And that's just the family. Like, we could go so far into this energy topic, but 7 generations back, and then we impact 7 generations forward. So you really taking ownership and agency over your life and deciding, okay, you know what, this stops with me. This pattern that's been passed down unconsciously through generations stops with me. Like, thank you very much for the lesson. And this is what I'm going to create. And, none of us do it perfectly. It doesn't mean that we're not going to, make mistakes in quotes with our children or with our relationships, but just that intention sets things in motion to do things differently. And it's really, really powerful. And then if we do, blow it, or if we end up in a situation like you and I did, Susanne, then we get to practice. Okay, how do I relate in a conscious, loving manner? How do I take care of myself and also the people that I'm with, right? Like, it's all, life gives us these learning opportunities and you never know when one's going to strike.
You never know when it's going to strike.
No.
But so yes, 100%. And if I look at where we are at right now, and when I tie the string, build the bridge between what we're talking about and performing artists, or where they are at right now, I believe that all of this work is necessary in order to become the very best version of yourself. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with your body's ability, but everything to do with your mind's ability, because that was me. My mind was weak. Like, my mind didn't know. And we've been taught this. We've been imprinted. Our subconscious knows that this is a battle. Our mind, our body's lazy. We have to overcome it. And it was never something that's in alignment. Let's talk a little bit about how you can start that journey, because I remember in the beginning, I could see where I wanted to be, but I couldn't see the path. And I found that, oh my gosh, there is so much to do. And how am I going to do this? Perfectionism. And it's not going to be fast enough because we're not seeing joy in the journey. Because we're goal oriented, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk to me about that a little, or us, not me? I'm like, this is my private coaching session. Thank you very much.
I'll talk to you and everybody. But you said so many important things in there. So I hope that I can highlight each one. But yeah, so perfectionism is a tricky one, right? Because we can just find any way to use it, right? Even in the self-improvement, self-development, like, oh, I have to do that perfectly now. And it's like,
No.
okay, well, good luck, because that's impossible as well. Because once again, perfect doesn't exist. But we have to love that part of ourselves that feels the need to be perfect, because if we judge it and condemn it and make it wrong, it doesn't help. It's like criticizing ourselves doesn't work, right? So what if we just love that part of ourselves that learned to survive in that way, and just have grace and compassion for that piece of ourselves? Because it was something we learned to survive, to be included, you know, in tribe, in our family, in the world of dance or performing arts, whatever it was, right? So it's a survival pattern. And so just understanding where it comes from and just loving that part of ourselves that felt like we had to be perfect to be loved or to survive, right? So there's that. As far as it looking like this, like you're standing at the bottom of a huge mountain and like, where do you even go and how do you even start? Really relate to that. And I was actually reading one of my old journal entries from, I think, like 6 or 7 years ago. And it said something like, because my thing is relationships, and my biggest challenge of my life has been relationships. So this is why I'm here to guide and lead other people, because I really, truly get it. But in my journal, I was saying, you know, I know that my worth comes from within me. And I know that I'm seeking it outside of myself in men. And I know that that's not the path, but what is the path, right? Like, how do I get to that place that I know exists, but I don't even see it, because I can't even comprehend what it would be, but something in me knew that like what I'm doing isn't working, right? So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's go a little deeper on that one, because I can almost guarantee that many people can relate to that, because when we don't know what the actual path is. So knowing all of these things and then seeing, okay, but where do I go? What do I do now?
Mhm.
Is actually, this is the pivotal point where
Yeah.
we can find faith in ourselves that it will actually show up. And
Mhm.
it may just sound really woo-wooey, but the teacher never ever is going to be arriving until the student is ready.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you're not ready, if you're not there and seeing it very clear in front of you and actually feeling it, you won't find the path either. And saying, oh, I can't see the path, I can't see the path, is one way of looking at it. And then there's the other way that says, well, what would it look like if I could see the path?
Mhm. Right.
Because that gets you in a different energy level, that gets you in a different mindset, that gets you your subconscious, your filter actually searching for other things.
Yes.
Did
Oh
I do
my
that
God.
right, Mom?
Yes, that was perfect. That was perfect. And because it's true, because going back to the filter, right? If we believe there isn't a way, then guess what? We're not going to find a way. So, but it's tough, because I'm telling you, I spent years like severely depressed, like really in the darkness. And I learned, thank God, how to think differently. And it wasn't, you know, in one day. But what I did know, because in my former life, I was an occupational therapist, so I rehabilitated stroke patients. And I have seen the power of our mind to rewire, whether it's for like physical, you know, ability or mental ability. And so I've seen people who've had strokes and couldn't walk and end up being able to walk again, right? And the brain has that ability to create new neural pathways. So what you just said is so powerful, because it's like, okay, one of my favorite questions is like, but what if? Like, what if there's a way? And what if I just can't see it yet? But what if? And like you said, that just opens up a little crack in the perception of, okay, maybe there is a way. And when you ask, you will be shown. And for me, one of the books, the book actually that started me on this path was You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And she explains it so simply, how the subconscious works, how to start shifting the way you're thinking, and affirmations. And what I believe about affirmations is like it starts to open your eyes to a wider perception. And even if you can't see the way, right? What if you're just willing? Like, I'm willing to see it differently. That's enough. And you'll be shown.
I'm willing to see it differently. And I think we fall prey to societal stigmas and thinking and the press and all of these inundating things that are coming at us, that we have forgotten to actually listen to what's going on. Like, it's about doing. And when I transfer that into performing arts, I mean, oh my gosh, there's a lot of doing going on and a very little listen. The whole mindset work, I mean, it started to crack open, I think, during the pandemic. It's like, oh, maybe I should meditate. Maybe I should take care of myself a little bit better. And we are in 2021. Like, there's so much research out there on everything starts in our mind. It doesn't start with acquiring a skill. It's literally starts with the belief that you can.
Yes. Amen to that. That's it. And it's like, everything starts in our mind. Everything starts in mind. So think about, the chair you're sitting in. Somebody imagined that in their mind, and now here it is, right? So same thing for what we want to create in our lives. We need to imagine and envision. So part of this work is going in and clearing out beliefs that aren't serving us. And then the second piece is actually creating a vision that we choose to move into, and taking aligned action toward that vision, and really just knowing that we just need to take the next step, right? Like, just the next right action. We don't have to see the entire staircase. We just have to see, okay, what's the next step? And I love that you mentioned tuning in with yourself and your intuition, because like you said, the societal programming around like the answers are out here, or you're not enough no matter what you try or do. It's like madness. So the truth is in here, is within us. And when we get quiet, when we meditate, when we pray, we can actually hear the guidance that's within us. And it's going to be different for everybody. Like, what's right for you isn't going to be what's right for me, isn't going to be, it's really individual. And so tuning into that guidance, and, God bless my parents, but I was telling them the other day about, I just use my intuition to make decisions. And they were like, what? They're like, well, what about this and that? And we were having a little bit of a like heated conversation. And I was like, what, I just truly check in with myself and ask myself, okay, does this feel okay for me? Is this aligned for me? Is it not? And, I wasn't like that before. I would be asking every freaking person, like, what do you think I should do? Who should like, and trying to prove my worth to like men who really weren't in the place to have a relationship. It was just like very painful existence. So the things that we're sharing, I'm so grateful that it's more common knowledge now, that like we can go on Instagram or talk to coaches or talk to therapists and really access our power in ways that really weren't available, for our parents when they were young. So they did the best they could with what they know. But this whole concept of like going within and the answers are within you, like, I think my dad thinks I've lost my mind. He was like, okay.
Okay. I can vouch for it. She's all right, darling.
Okay. Dad, if you're listening.
So, what would you say? Let's give our listeners a few tips, because this whole work can be really overwhelming. And I'm saying that because I've been in that state. I remember sitting in that very first mastermind with Lori and Chris, and I looked around me and I heard the questions, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how on earth am I ever gonna get there?
Yeah.
And looking back, and that was just 2 years, like two to the week actually.
Wow.
Back, that Wow, wrong question.
Yeah.
Totally wrong question. I mean, I literally strangled myself with even asking that question. It's that grip that we have, that we need to be in control, which in a way, yes, be in control, but know what that feels like.
Mhm.
Not being controlled by somebody else's I don't know, validation. Or and I wanted to, sorry, that's just coming back to me, the our need to be perfect, isn't that actually looking for somebody out there to tell us that we are good enough? Isn't
Yeah.
so that's really bare, very, very simply explained.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm,
Yes. Like we want to get away from externally referencing our worth and our value. Like, and we want to come back to internally referencing it and knowing that we're worthy because we exist and we're lovable because we exist, period. But that isn't what we're taught. And
no.
exactly what you're saying, it doesn't have to take a long time, right? But if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. So are you okay with what you're getting? And if you are, beautiful, continue, right? But if you're not, then this is a path to start creating freedom for yourself. And it doesn't actually have to take a long time. Like little things can start to shift your perception, your outlook, and opportunities will just come into your life. And I thought, just for as an example of like a limiting belief, I thought, well, who am I to change careers and become a relationship coach? Like, it's too late, I'm too old, and blah, 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 right? And my coach, who helped me uncover my subconscious beliefs, said to me, she's like, I'd like to offer you a different perception. And she said, what if instead of saying it's too late, I'm too old to change careers, what if you asked, but how many people could I help? How many people could I serve? And I was like, damn, like taking it out of like my own ego story of my own limitation. And I was like, even if I just help one person, I would do this for free. Like, this is what I'm here on this planet to do. And so just that shift in perception and, little by little, it's like you build a house, you lay one brick and you lay another brick, and before you know it, you're an entirely different person. And it's so funny because my first clients were actually my friends, because they looked at me and they were like, what are you doing differently? Because I was like 180 degrees opposite from who I was a few years ago. And so they were like, I don't know what you're doing, but I need to know what it is because I want to create change in my life. And one of my clients is one of my closest friends, and he was one of my first clients. And it's just so beautiful to see the changes he has created in his life as a result of just saying yes to himself. Like, just say yes to yourself, and you'll be guided to the right book, coach, therapist, program. You'll be guided, but just say yes to you. Really, truly, you're worth it. And a lot of people have challenges around like investing in themselves. And I get that. And that was me too. And what I really have seen every single time is every time I invest in myself, it comes back to me tenfold every time. So that's another invitation to show the universe, you know what, I'm worth this. And I trust in the flow of, giving and receiving. And I'm going to give myself this gift. So I don't know, I could go on and on, but those are some of my thoughts.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. You know how when you said love has to be earned, or that was me too, like my belief totally. And it's still somewhere the struggle for me. And I heard this quote the other day, love isn't something that we have to earn, it's given.
Yeah.
It is a given. It's your birthright. It is not earnable.
Yeah.
Because as soon as we think we need to earn somebody's love, we need to earn that love so we can survive, then you're depending on, and you no longer are free to roam and be.
Yeah.
And that is where literally that core shift is how we can change that world. Like all of it. Your tiny little circle of influence, your big circle of influence, the job that you're in, and us as a collective, as people.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And we get in, it's very risky to build our home in another person, right? It's just, it's very risky because there, it's like your oxygen. And when everything's going well, it's great. And when everything isn't, it's like really scary. And you feel like you won't survive. And so it's a practice of continuing to come back home to yourself and really learn how to show up for yourself, how to regulate, how to know what your triggers are and how to navigate them, how to manage, you know, your past trauma so that it doesn't come here front and center, activating things in your current relationships. Or if it does, then what do you do when that happens? So these are all things that I help people with, that I'm so passionate about, because it was so hard for me to have relationships, you know, from the time I was a little kid, because of what I grew up with in my home. And it just translated into, you know, every relationship, especially romantic ones. So if I can change this, anyone can. So anybody can. You can really.
Anybody can, yeah.
Mhm.
You're not special in
Yeah.
that way. Like, it's not applying to you.
Right. Right. And you're not alone. And I would really strongly recommend getting yourself some support, whatever that looks like. Because when we think we have to do it alone, that's another really common belief that people have. Like, I'm in this on my own. I have to do it alone. I'm alone. And it's not the truth either. Just like, you know, we have to earn love is not the truth. It's just, we're meant to do this in tribe, in community. We're meant to heal. So I would recommend, you know, finding somebody who's just maybe a couple steps ahead of you on their journey, and get some support from them. Hire a therapist, hire a coach, join a program, really tune in, like, what would be the most supportive thing for you, and then follow that.
Do you know what I found? That whenever the truth of my subconscious never came out when I was comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Meaning
yeah.
when I was in like comfortable situations, right? And so the only way I could literally chase it and scare it and hustle it out of its corners was when I was in conversations that were uncomfortable, in meetings, in groups, in masterminds, in coaches, situations where I was asked to be vulnerable. All of these things, that was for me where it shifted, where I'm a verbal, I
Mm-hmm.
process verbally,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes words come out and like, wow, did I just say that? Holy, as in I didn't even know I was thinking it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and particularly as dancers that are using their body to express, and they have such little voices, it is so important to talk
Oh yes. Yeah. And
all the time.
yeah, absolutely. And we're still learning to use our voice as women. And that's actually true.
Oh
And
my
when
God.
you think, you know, think about your mom, think about her mom, like, did they speak their truth? Did they honor themselves? Like, because most of the time the answer is no. And so our generation is here to free ourselves and learn to speak authentically and relate from a place of truth and a place of love and a place of vulnerability. And that itself is rewiring, creating those experiences. And, you know, like you said, the subconscious beliefs will get really, really loud when we're in uncomfortable situations. So if you're curious about what your limiting subconscious beliefs are, think about when you're in like a situation that's not really desirable, or a relationship dynamic that isn't flowing, and listen to the story your brain spins. Like, I'm alone, no one cares, you know, this always happens, like, and you'll start to hear the tape playing and just observe it, because it's so interesting. And that is what we've learned, that's kind of our framework through which we view the world. And so you can go in and almost, like, I use the analogy of a tree. And so if you're going into your subconscious, you can look at the leaves of the tree, which are like the circumstances of your life, the surface stuff, or you can go down to the root, which is the belief system, and actually address the root. And then it will shift every area of your life. So that's how powerful this work is. you can create whatever you desire, but we need to get in there and help you shift the beliefs that aren't serving you, because otherwise they're just going to keep operating. And you say, why does this keep happening? Why am I dating the same person in a different body? Why am I, every job I have, my boss and I don't get along, right? Like, those are all the surfacey things. And I want to help you free yourself so that you can have more fulfilling, enjoyable life and relationships.
So good. Thank you. Last question. With everything that you know now and you have gained knowledge-wise, and you had the chance to talk to your 16-year-old self and sit her down, tie her to the chair, whatever you have to do that she's listening, what would you tell her?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. That's actually one that I ask my clients a lot of the time, like to go back to a certain age. What would I tell my 16-year-old self? I would tell her that everything is going to work out in ways that she cannot even imagine, and that it's really all guided. And so she doesn't have to worry so much. And that all of the things that are at the top of her mind right now are definitely important. And I hear her and I see her, and she's going to have everything she wants and more. And that she's going to be able to help so many people because of the challenges that she's going through. And so even when it feels awful and painful, knowing that there's a purpose for it, and knowing that that is part of our journey here, I think, is to take our challenges and our adversity and then use it first to help ourselves and then pay it forward and help other people. That's kind of why we're here, in my opinion. So yeah, I would just tell her, it's all going to be okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, Jess, where can we find you? On
you can
World Wide Web. So
you can find me in a lot of places, but you can find me on Instagram at Coach Jess Hendrick. And you can find me on my website, which is jesshendrick.com. And I'm all over the place too. I'm on YouTube, and I'm on Google My Business and all these other things. So if you just type in Jess Hendrick, you should find a lot of things. But I would love to offer anybody who's listening a free coaching session. So if anyone's listening and you want to do a free coaching session, just DM me and let me know that you heard me on Susanne's podcast. And I will put together a special offer for you if you want to continue and you want to actually dive in and do the work. But regardless, I'm just here to serve you. So if one session is what you want to do and just explore this, I would be happy to connect with you.
Wow. Just for the record, I didn't know this was coming. So what a gift.
Yeah, I love
a gift. So thank you, darling. That's so sweet. And if I may, you all, you should really take advantage of this, because this is like one in a lifetime. Yeah, do it. Just do it. Yeah, it's super important. Okay. I'm still, like, you took my breath away for now, because that is so generous. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I just see the power of this work and how much it's changed my life and changed the lives of so many people. And so I really want people to just experience it for themselves. And if you, after the session, you want to learn more and you want to continue, cool. And I'll give you a special offer as well. But, I really just want to help people to find their peace and their love within themselves more than anything. So thank you for the opportunity to reach people. Thank you for having me on. I'm so grateful for you and our friendship, and thank you.
Oh, thank you. Right back at you. Well, you guys, there you have it. I told you it's going to be good. What would really, really make a difference is that you tag us in your social media posts, on your stories. We want to know what your biggest takeaway was. If you want to connect with Jess, just go for it. All the links to her site and IG and Facebook, everything is going to be in the show notes. So all you have to do is click on it. These are hyperlinks and you will be connected right away. I want to bring up something at this point, is that we tend to shy away to invest in ourselves, even when it's free. And I am here to remind you that you are so worth it. You're not doing yourself a favor by not taking advantage of this offer. You and other people too.
Mhm.
Because whatever you change in yourself, whatever kind of breakthroughs you have, big or small, it doesn't matter. However, you're showing up, you always, always, always giving something of you to other people. And having that chance to make a difference, and I'm talking particularly to the dancers that are listening to this podcast. um, you've been confined in this tiny little box on who you have to be and how you have to show up, and that has left you with so many limiting beliefs. Trust me, I've been there, and I didn't do that work in my 20s and 30s. I started when I was 40. So you have the opportunity right now to make a difference. Companies are not going to make a difference right now. It's on you right now, today, to take action. And
Mhm.
that is really all it takes for you to say yes to yourself once.
I love that. Thank you, Susanne. And one last little thing too, just for people listening, if you go to my Instagram or you go to my website, there's a place to book your consult calls. So just to give you the path of least resistance to make it super easy. So just go in there and just let me know that you heard about me on Suzanne's podcast, and we'll get you set up for your session. And I'm so excited to connect with you.
Oh, nothing to add here. Just thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for going through what you had to go through to make a difference in the world. And thank you for your friendship.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. I appreciate you.
Hey, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.